All right. Hello. I'm Max. I'm Sales Director of UK and I for Voyado. And for those of you who don't know Voyado, we are a customer experience platform specifically for retail. So that encompasses CDP, marketing automation, loyalty, and then we have the product discovery from search, merch, and product recs as well. Over to you, Sean.
Hi, so I'm Sean Langford. I work at Jigsaw, so I'm part of the transformation team there. So I'm very much part of running, developing all new kind of technology implementations for the company. Been there 3 years, so I've done quite a lot in that last 3 years.
And you have been part of that transformation, obviously, for the last 3 years. What's been the biggest challenge in implementing digital change, and how have you navigated it?
Well, yeah, and it's interesting. I was just in the green room. I was kind of talking about being in a kind of company and being in digital and how fast it moves. And I think there's this real realization of I've been there 3 years. We've done so many things. It's been amazing. You know, we implemented Voyado as a sort of CDP. That was kind of a big project a year and a half ago. But beyond that, we've improved our returns with revenue. We've done so many projects that have had a real big impact globally for international sort of sales. AI we've used now for kind of customer service via Zendesk. I mean, that's reduced by about 30% the human interactions. So I caught the first bit of the kind of the trend slide. So I was kind of like quite pleased that a lot of things we were kind of doing, that's hitting all those kind of areas.
And you operate with quite a small team. How do you balance ambition and innovation while managing resource constraints with a project like this?
We have lots of ambition. We have lots and lots of ambition. And I think that's just a reality. And I think the big thing for us and for our team is really kind of looking at the kind of long-term picture of what we want to achieve. I mean, there's a lot of things there about bringing in new technology. The reality is, I'm sure everybody in this room has got legacy systems that just stop them doing that. We've still got integrations that got flat files with that. So it's a reality of really taking away, particularly from our ERP, which is a very old sort of system, the new technology, so we can build up an interconnected tech stack where things kind of talk to each other in a really easy way. We're kind of cutting down on the kind of middleware between that and just making it simpler.
And just kind of changing gear into omnichannel and customer experience. With omnichannel now and expectation, how has Jigsaw approached bridging the gap between in-store and online experiences?
That's kind of really, as Jigsaw, I mean, we're 50 years old as a company, so we come from a bricks and mortar background. I don't think we've now in any way, and for a long time, have seen any difference. We are completely kind of omni-channel. Everything we do relates to both our retail and to kind of our e-com, and it's all about kind of joining those things up. And I think that's just kind of so important. At the moment, I'm kind of working on a new POS system for all our sort of stores. And again, part of the acceptance criteria we had for the kind of selection of that was the integration and the ease of integration with our other systems like Voyado. We've got a kind of direct API. That's going to have so much kind of benefit in terms of how we capture data, the types of data we're capturing, and the accuracy of that data. And the fact it's kind of feeding straight into our CDP just makes a massive difference.
And just touching on that kind of data point and personalization being such a major focus for retailers, how are you leveraging the technology, including your CDP, to enhance the customer engagement?
Well, it's the kind of constant, because it's not just having the technology. I think it's how you use it. And a kind of example of that is actually with Voyado, and our base was kind of dropping fractionally last year. that was for a lot of reasons. Probably one of the biggest reasons we had was the emails were too generic. We were over-emailing people. We didn't have personalized journeys for a lot of people. So we're now building that up. We did a lot of work on the kind of the core welcome journey. That's now a kind of a 5-stage journey. And a lot of that sort of actually starts with very much about the storytelling, about the brand, and about the brand heritage. We're not sort of selling at that point. That also sort of connects into we're going to build in loyalty to that as well. So kind of customers kind of understand the brand as they kind of go in that journey, and the fact that it's then also connected to both e-com as well.
And touching on that loyalty piece, you rolled out the loyalty program last year known as the Collector. What were the key objectives, and how do you see loyalty evolving in the retail space?
We've talked about loyalty for years and years, and it is kind of interesting. I know part of the selection of Voyado was also their functionality of being able to kind of deliver a loyalty program as well as being a CDP. On that basis, got us off the ground. We're in not quite a year in terms of the loyalty program itself. We started with quite a simple solution, and that really, for me, and I think a lot of the kind of team, is about actually understanding our customers, understanding how they're going to engage with the loyalty program rather than kind of dictating that. And we're now at a point, and this is going to become like, this is a massive big thing now. We're really looking at loyalty. There's a load of areas within that. And I think that's brought us to the initial engagement, making sure, again, from the point of a customer signing up, the welcome journey incorporates that. We're also potentially going to look about sort of actually signing up, getting better information, getting better personalized information. So we're kind of quite baby steps in terms of the loyalty program. What we proved, it works. It works really, really well. We've got really good, analysis from that. It's now making it work really harder. That also kind of dovetails into things like the POS, where over the last year, we've kind of built up really great relationships with our VIP customers directly from the kind of managers, and that's something that in a lot of different communication channels they're using. Again, that all kind of feeds back into the data we hold on our customers.
Awesome. I think you've touched on my next question anyway around the engagement and how you're basically looking at that within an increasing competitive market. But when you were looking at a platform and looking at this, were you looking to have everything in an all-in-one solution like us? And was that because data was siloed before taking on this project?
We did look. I mean, we did look at a lot of big solutions, all-in-one solutions. I think the reality with that at the moment, we use Voyado as an example in terms of kind of platform, but we have a sort of separate data lake. Where we're kind of doing all the kind of deduping, all the kind of like the raw data's in that, and that also gives us the ability of the analytics team to kind of access that, do whatever reports they kind of want. We're really kind of building. We've got the vision. Our ERP is 10, 14 years. Yeah, it's old. It's really old. It kind of. We're sort of stuck with it. It's a very big project. It's something that's going to come up in the next couple of years in terms of what we're going to do with that. But that, for us, is decoupling a lot of things from that. That means we can have solutions that build around that. But what's really, really important is the kind of the tech the connection between those sort of systems. And again, that that kind of evolves back into the kind of omnichannel approach. Because again, with the new POS, one of the big things I want to make sure is the data coming in is used. We're getting better quality data. The welcome journeys are all kind of personalized. And again, for when we're establishing people into kind of VIP programs, that sort of really kind of builds.
And moving on to, I guess, the POS, and you're implementing Situ.
Yeah.
What drove the decision to go with Situ, and how will that change the in-store experience with those guys?
So I think it's interesting. We're probably a nightmare as a company for some suppliers. I was kind of looking back at that selection process, and that ran over 4 to 5 months. We did it in kind of quite a phased way, where we looked at a broad landscape of suppliers. We narrowed it down at different levels, starting from a kind of technology point of view. Can they deliver all the things that we actually need as a business? That then went into kind of the cost models and the various selections. You kind of we ended up with a couple of solutions or a couple of vendors that basically had great products. And it came down to kind of quite nuanced selection process. And being in the middle there, our team took the point about we're neutral to this. We're here to provide the best possible solution for the teams that are going to use it. And we engaged, I had managers in different parts of that selection process to kind of get them in. But it's going to have this is going to be a massive thing for retail. I think I'm so excited. We're doing some trials in about 2 weeks, all being well. So I'm kind of relatively sort of stressed, but not in terms of it's kind of all happening. But that's going to really sort of show. And again, we're running trials. We want to get really great feedback from the sort of stores. And the benefits to that is immense. Not only, for things like simplicity, training, MPOS, it's going to actually change how we do retail in stores. Suddenly we're kind of looking, we can actually have tills, and we can start the kind of transactions in the kind of fitting areas. So this is really, really exciting. And I think any project like that, the actual go live is the start of it, because it's just that point that you're then seeing how that kind of develops on.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see that come in, because I know how much loyalty and personalization comes into Situ as well. But then looking back at the past 3 years, what's been the most impactful digital success for Jigsaw, do you think?
I bet you think I'm going to say Voyado, aren't you? There's actually been a lot of things, and I think that's very kind of typical of the solutions we have. As I said, I mean, we've engaged with kind of companies like Voyado. That's a critical piece in the overall kind of tech stack we've got. Again, other kind of companies like Revenue on our returns have had some really massive benefits, and we're kind of looking at them for new stuff that we're kind of doing. I think we're potentially looking at gift cards for returns and stuff like that. Again, on the CS side, Zendesk. It's for kind of all of them. I think for me, it's going to be how our whole tech stack works together. And I think it's all about kind of long-term relationships with your suppliers, and it's really getting the most from them and working with suppliers that have got a really strong roadmap in terms of their own developments. And they can develop various functions we may or may not use, but that to us is really important.
Awesome. And obviously this year is about Situ, but is there anything that you're thinking about taking on, potentially the ERP? Is that the next big project?
I think that will be, that's slightly in the future. But, I mean, no, the Situ development, that's a couple of months ahead. I'm looking at kind of June for that to be all in place. And that's going to run a few months in terms of sort of, the really intense looking at that. But I think all our suppliers, every bit, we're looking about enhancements. We're going to be going back to Voyado about loyalty. That's probably the biggest thing we're going to have with you. But just generally, just improving our journeys, because so much more data we're going to have the ability to kind of capture through the POS. We have our retail. I love our retail team. They are so good, and I think if you can give those kind of people tools that are really easy to use, that allow them to have kind of conversations with the kind of customers, their ability to capture data is amazing. And that, I hope, really want to feed that into the loyalty program. And again, the kind of VIP personalization we can kind of achieve with our kind of customers.
Awesome. I'm very excited to see the loyalty program progress. I was chatting to Nikos yesterday, but I think we're on time. Perfect. But if you have any questions for me or Sean, please come over, say hello. We won't bite. But thanks for listening.